will happily do a full breakdown of this movie so that you, just like me, can be angry at how fucking stupid these characters were. When Evil Lurks is about these two brothers named Pedro and Jamie, and one night they hear gunshots, so they go out to investigate the next morning, and they find a dead, mutilated body. They go through his belongings and find the information of a woman they know who lives nearby, so they go to her house where she lives with her two sons. So they go to her house and they tell her about the body, and she's like, oh shit, that must have been the cleaner. He was coming to kill my son Uriel. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Turns out her oldest son Uriel has become a rotten. Basically, a rotten is a person who becomes possessed by an unborn demon who is waiting to be birthed into a human. And they go in and find this literal, disgusting, rotting man. So they go to tell the cops, and the cops are basically like, LOL, yeah, fuck you. So instead, they go to this dude Ruiz, who is the landowner and who is also an unhinged fucking psychopath. So he immediately just becomes irate and storms into this woman's house with a fucking shotgun to kill the rotten. To which Uriel's mother is like, no, you can't kill him with a gun. So instead of shooting him, Ruiz goes to recruit Pedro and Jamie to move the rotten. Obviously this dude is fucking massive, so they're having trouble getting him out of his bed and into the truck, and the whole time his mother is like, no, you can't move him, just trust me. But of course they don't fucking listen. They end up getting him in the truck and drive him like super far away, but when they get out to dump him, they realize he's fallen out of the car. And this fucking idiot's like, well, guess that resolves our problem, let's fucking go home. And he goes home to his pregnant wife, who the next day discovers that one of their goats has become possessed. So Ruiz aims a gun at the goat, and the whole time the wife is screaming, no, you can't use a gun, you have to use an axe, just listen to me. But does he listen? Absolutely fucking not. So Ruiz shoots the goat, and immediately upon going to turn around, his wife axes him in the face and kills him. And then she turns the axe on herself, which is where we get this lovely photo on the cover. So now we understand that this thing is jumping from body to body. Meanwhile, Uriel's other brother, the younger son, goes to the house of Pedro and Jamie and is like, guys, I'm scared, I can't find my mother, can I stay here for the night? And they reluctantly let him stay in the barn. But they promptly forget about him because the next morning they're like, fuck this, let's go get our families and get the fuck out of town. Because they know that this thing is going to spread. So Pedro goes to the house of his ex-wife Sabrina, where she lives with her new husband and their daughter, and then the two kids that she has with Pedro. So Pedro goes inside and it's absolute fucking chaos because we find out they have a restraining order against him, he's not supposed to be there. And he's super panicky, he starts taking off his clothes to burn them in the yard. But as he's taking them off, the family dog smells them. These were still the clothes that he was wearing to move the rotten. So Pedro's trying to get his two sons to leave, and he's arguing with Sabrina and her husband, and in the chaos, the dog attacks the younger daughter very brutally and literally drags her out of the house down the street. So her father realizes and goes to run into the house to follow her with a gun, to which Pedro's like, don't shoot it, you can't use a gun. But does he listen? Absolutely fucking not. So he finds the dog and shoots it. Meanwhile, we watch this little girl be savagely dragged by this dog, and she returns home to her mom completely unharmed. And she whispers in Sabrina's ear, Dad's going to kill you. He's going to drive a truck here and kill you. Meanwhile, Pedro is like, fuck this, they're not listening to me. So he grabs his two sons and steals Sabrina's car and drives off. But as he's driving off, he sees Sabrina's husband drive his truck into her and kill her. So Pedro meets back up with Jamie and they go and pick up their mother, who they don't really tell what's going on. And as they're driving, the mother gets a call from Sabrina, who we know is not Sabrina because we just watched Sabrina's ass fucking die. So Pedro picks up the phone and it's Sabrina saying, you need to bring back my sons. I'm going to get them one way or the other, basically. So he destroys the phone and they drive to the home of Myrta. Myrta is a friend of Jamie's, but also a former cleaner, which again is what we call the people who properly kill rottens. Meanwhile, on the drive over, the mother, who still really doesn't know what the fuck is going on, was explaining to the younger son the 7 rules of dealing with a rotten. One of those rules is you can't use a gun to kill them because it won't fucking work. Another is you can't use electrical lighting because it attracts them. So Myrta knows what's up, they get there and there's no electric lights, it's all like candles and lamps. Myrta takes one look at Pedro's oldest son, who is autistic, and says, he's possessed, he's a fucking rotten. And Jamie's like, no, he's autistic, that's just how he acts. And she's like, no, this is so much more, but nobody believes her. Once again, they don't fucking listen. That night, as their mother is asleep in the room with Pedro's youngest son, she wakes up and sees Sabrina carrying the son. Once again, she does not know that Sabrina's dead. She alerts Pedro and Jamie, and by the time Pedro gets to her, she jumps off the balcony with her son in arms, and then they disappear. So Myrta's like, all right, this shit is spreading, we can't get away from it, the only way to defeat it is finding Uriel, the original rotten. So Myrta and Pedro go out to search for him, meanwhile Jamie goes to search for Sabrina. Jamie finds Sabrina, obviously we know she's not real, and she is carrying the youngest son and eating him. Yes. And in a fit of rage, Jamie runs her over. I cannot find a picture of their mother, but meanwhile, their mother is the only one left in the house, and the autistic son, who has a severe speech impediment, walks in perfectly fine and starts speaking with no impediment. It's at this point that she realizes, yes, he is now possessed. So Pedro and Myrta's search leads them to the schoolhouse where they encounter all these fucking demon-ass children. And these kids are not speaking to them, but if they are, they're telling them that the rotten is somewhere else. One says, Uriel's at my dad's house. One says, Uriel's at this other building. So Mirta, being literally the only smart person in this movie, is like, they're lying, they're trying to throw us off, the Rotten is here. Pedro tears apart the stage in the auditorium and finds the Rotten under there, hiding under a bunch of other bodies that are there. Mirta sets up her Rotten killing equipment and tells Pedro exactly what to do. The instructions could not be more clear. Mirta's like, don't listen to the children and don't kill the Rotten. If you kill the Rotten, you are allowing the demon to be born. But what does this motherfucker do? One of these fucking demon children is like, oh, there's an axe in this room nearby. It might help you. Mirta is literally begging, do not leave me alone with them. It's a trap. Don't do it. And does he listen? Absolutely fucking not. So he goes into a nearby room where they trap him, and while he's stuck in there, they brutally murder Mirta. And they destroy the equipment, so now the Rotten can't be killed properly. And then Pedro once again does the exact opposite of what he was told to do. And he beats the Rotten to death, which allows the demon to be born. So the demon sheds the corpse of Uriel and is born as this child covered in blood. And he walks by a defeated Pedro and just smears his blood on his forehead and then walks out into the world. So now Pedro and Jamie, once again defeated, go back to Mirta's house where they find the older son. And they go back to their own home where they go into the shed and remember, oh shit, Uriel's younger brother was here. And the younger brother admits to them that he was possessed and he's the one that killed the original cleaner and ate him. And he also ate his own mother. And Pedro's like, bro, what the fuck? And the kid's like, yeah, and it looks like your mother suffered the same fate. So Pedro goes inside and feeds his son ice cream, and the son starts choking and chokes up the necklace that his mother has been wearing the whole time. So his son was possessed, like Mirta said, and literally ate his grandmother. So Pedro now realizes that he's basically lost everybody and then goes outside and collapses and screams in grief, and that's it. All of this could have been avoided if one man just listened.